Most of us fall into the exact same trap when buying a new computer. We obsess over the processor speed, the RAM, and the 4K screen, treating the operating system as an afterthought. But the operating system dictates your daily reality. It determines which software you can run, how frustrated you get when trying to organize your files, and how much control you actually have over the metal and plastic you just bought. Decades ago, you didn't have much of a choice. Hardware and software were a package deal, locking you into very specific, bulky setups. Today, that landscape has fractured into 8 major operating systems, running everything from $50 budget smartphones to the servers powering global banking. To evaluate where you fit, we can look at this quadrant chart. We can map out these choices by plotting the freedom you have to tweak your hardware and software against the technical effort required to actually operate the system. There is no objectively perfect operating system. The goal is simply to map your daily habits to the right platform, preventing you from overspending on raw processing power you will never use. Let's start with the desktop workhorses. These are the platforms that dictate the 9-to-5 workflows for office workers, creatives, and gamers. Windows is the giant in the room. Released by Microsoft in 1985 as a simple graphical layer over MS-DOS, it evolved rapidly and completely saturated the global market. This comparison matrix shows exactly why Windows dominates. Look at the high scores here for hardware flexibility and gaming. You can run Windows on almost any brand of laptop or custom PC, making it the default choice for programmers and serious gamers. But those benefits come with a cost. As the matrix updates, notice the severe drops in security and update intrusiveness. Because it's everywhere, Windows is the primary target for malware. Its heavy system requirements can drag down older PCs, and it forces you into frequent, intrusive updates. Apple took the opposite approach in 2001 with macOS. They decided to strictly control both the software and the physical computers running it. Adding macOS to our matrix, you can see the result. It peaks in system stability and the creative ecosystem. If you use an iPhone or iPad, everything syncs flawlessly, and creative professionals rely on it for highly optimized built-in apps like Final Cut Pro. The rigid constraints lie in the barrier to entry. Look at the low scores for hardware affordability and gaming. macOS forces you to buy expensive Apple hardware, and because it lacks DirectX and powerful dedicated graphics card support, it is effectively useless for hardcore gamers. Then there's Chrome OS, released by Google in 2011. It's a lightweight, cloud-based alternative designed specifically for users who spend their days entirely inside a web browser. Because it uses Google servers to handle the heavy computing, Chrome OS can run on incredibly cheap Chromebooks while staying immune to most local malware. The trade-off? Lose your internet connection, and the machine loses its utility. You also can't run heavy desktop applications like full versions of Photoshop. Choosing your desktop OS is a strict compromise. You have to decide between the raw, versatile power of Windows, the expensive stability of Mac, and the ultra-budget web reliance of Chrome OS. When we scale down to mobile operating systems, the choices shrink. This is where consumers face a rigid, binary decision and the strongest brand loyalty. Apple's iOS operates as a strict walled garden. From the launch of the first iPhone, Apple maintained exclusive control over both the device itself and a highly curated app store. This closed system guarantees years of reliable software updates and high security standards, but it heavily restricts your freedom. You cannot easily customize your interface, install unapproved apps, or add cheap, expandable storage. Google's Android sits on the other end of the spectrum. As an open-source platform licensed by multiple manufacturers, it runs on everything from $50 budget phones to premium flagships. Android gives you complete freedom to change themes and install third-party software. But that fragmentation creates massive inconsistencies. You might buy a phone that never receives software updates, comes loaded with unremovable bloatware, and struggles with security risks. Mobile users have a clean choice: prioritize long-term curated stability, or demand interface customization and hardware budget control. Step away from consumer laptops and phones, and you'll find the hidden, foundational operating systems running global infrastructure. Linux is a completely free, open-source platform created in 1991 by Linus Torvalds. It is incredibly lightweight, meaning it can run securely on a 20-year-old desktop or power the highest performance servers at Google. Because it's open source, developers take the core of Linux and build specialized versions called distributions, or distros. You can find distros built for regular users, like Ubuntu, or specialized versions, like CentOS, designed strictly for massive servers. Everyday consumers avoid Linux because it abandons friendly menus in favor of text-based command lines, and very few mainstream apps or games are compatible with it. Look back even further and you find Unix. Developed in the late 1960s, it is a heavy-duty predecessor built specifically to handle massive multi-user workloads for scientific research and banking systems. As this chart of licensing costs illustrates, Unix has an astronomical barrier to entry. While a Linux deployment costs $0, installing Unix across a standard 250-user company clears $350,000. It is strictly enterprise grade. Finally, there is BSD, a Unix offshoot from UC Berkeley. Network engineers choose BSD for its brutal resource efficiency, relying on it to run firewalls and massive content delivery networks for Netflix and the PlayStation Network. For these back-end systems, visual convenience is completely abandoned in favor of raw security, customizability, and processing power. Stop looking for the overall best operating system. You need to identify which system's limitations will irritate you the least. This flowchart breaks down the decision. What is your primary need? Students on a budget follow the first branch to Chrome OS. For out-of-the-box stability and creative work, the second route lands on macOS. Gamers needing maximum compatibility follow the third path to Windows. Your mobile choice mirrors this philosophy. Go with Android for strict budget control and custom hardware, or choose iOS if you value a curated, long-lasting ecosystem. Define your workflow and your budget first. If you choose the operating system built for your exact reality, the right hardware will naturally follow.